De-escalation file loading.
I'm working on second shift at General Motors plant, and I had only been back from grad school, say a couple of months, and they let me know that this employee I was going to be meeting with was probably going to be fired in this meeting, but he worked under me, so I had to be in the meeting, and even though I had to introduce myself to this guy, I was also telling him we're going to let him go.
In episode 1, we talked about common anger triggers including perceived threats, unfairness, or insult and the loss of control. Knowing these triggers can help you anticipate an escalated response and take precautions in advance. In episode 3, we also learned that our brains perceive certain social factors such as status and certainty, as highly important to our survival. When these social factors are threatened, such as in a termination or other form of negative work experience, the amygdala can be easily triggered, causing the situation to escalate quickly.
The union rep was there, I was there, and the labor relations person was there, and because I was the manager, I was expected to explain to him that we were going to be terminating, and I could tell immediately that it had just set something off in him. He started getting physically close to me, very big guy, very muscular guy.
In episode 2, we discussed the concept of proxemics, and that in escalated situations, it is best to avoid entering the personal or intimate zones, which are within 4 feet of the other individual. This may increase the perceived threat level and increase the risk of physical harm.
And he pulled some big wrench out of his pocket and said, "So you're really going to try to keep me," and he's pounding on his leg, "you're going to keep me and my family from eating." And his voice is getting louder, he's starting to scream.
In episode 5, we discussed assessing the situation to determine whether you should call emergency services instead of de-escalating the situation yourself. Additionally, in episode 2, we learned about situational awareness, and that at all times you should be aware of your surroundings by identifying, processing, and understanding safety hazards around you, including escalated interactions with others.
And said, "Look, maybe I should just hear your side of this." That's all I said. And I looked at him and maybe, "Can we sit down and you tell me your side of this?"
In week 2, we learned that active listening is a powerful tool for de-escalating conflict. We learned that this takes the pressure off of you in the moment to say the right thing, and instead focuses your attention on listening with empathy and compassion.
I could physically see his expression changing. The wrench came down to his side. I think we actually recognized he had it, maybe put it away. Went back in the room. This guy proceeded to tell me that he was the only one in his family that had worked. And he was pretty darn proud of himself if he showed up 4 or 5 days a week, even though it was a 6-day work schedule. So he didn't agree that it should be something that's terminationable. He was there as often as he could, and compared to the rest of his family, in his mind, he was an excellent employee. So I nodded and listened. I said, "Look, I actually can understand what you're trying to say. We've got a difference of opinion, though, and this is going to have to go up way above me."
In episode 7, we learned the strategy of shifting from opinion to facts by first starting with the presumption the other person may be right, and second, addressing their concerns before addressing how the concerns were presented. Third, we learned to shift from opposing side to the same side, including by adding a third party to the mix. And finally, by looking for objective sources of information to support subjective opinions.
"Give you my word, I'll see what I can do, but you got to give me your word you're going to try to be here." He said, "I can't ask for any more than that." Stood up, shook my hand.
Finally, in week 4, we learned the flip model, and how a simple act of undeserved grace can powerfully de-escalate a situation, similar to how flipping a magnet can cause it to attract rather than repel.
Now, what actually happened was when it went up, they had done this 4 or 5 times with this guy. Plant managers had enough. They fired this guy. But I can also tell you, I didn't worry about him coming up to my car. I didn't worry about him getting violent with me. I never did see the guy again.
De-escalation complete.